And that game right there is exactly why we all love football. Inter Milan 4, Barcelona 3. Honestly, I think that if I had a friend who wasn't sure if they liked football or not, and if I wanted to show them one game, I'd probably show them the first leg and then I'd probably show them the second leg of that tie because it was absolutely phenomenal. It had everything. I mean, the only thing it probably didn't have was red cards, but the goals, the quality of the goals, the drama, the excitement, it had absolutely everything, and that is why we love football. And normally I try and break down the tactics, what happened in that game, who's doing what, but if I'm being completely honest, it's all about the players on that pitch, the moments that they produced, and also a little bit from the coaches as well, because I thought everyone had a fantastic game and it really created that excitement, that buzz, and you've been seeing people like I've been seeing people like Thierry Henry being like that game brought back my love of football, and I think a lot of people have been feeling a little bit like that recently. They felt like the football that they've been watching, they've become disenfranchised from what they've been seeing. But honestly, that I didn't even think to myself at one point during that game, how on earth am I going to talk about it for a video? I was just thinking to myself, please God, I do not want this to end. I want this to continue. Take it extra time. Take it all the penalties. I want more. I want the drama. I want so much. And honestly, I'm rambling on a little bit, but it was so good. I've got to start somewhere. Okay, so let's start. 3-3 from the first leg going into this one. I was hoping that both teams were going to continue from where they left off in the first leg, because from that first leg, you probably thought to yourself, both managers might be a little bit more conservative. They might think to themselves, okay, we both conceded 3 goals here. We need to be a little bit better defensively. But no, they carried on exactly where they left off, which is exactly what we all really wanted to see. And it was Inter Milan who ended up taking the lead initially. And this was about 20 minutes in. Dani Olmo loses the ball in the middle of the pitch, and then Inter Milan pick it up. They pass it straight away through to Denzel Dumfries, who ended up passing it square to Lautaro Martinez, and Martinez slots it in because, of course, he does. And this is a player who has not been respected enough, I think, in world football. And I think it's about time now that we really start putting his name in terms of the best strikers in world football in Europe, at least at the moment, because he's definitely up there. He scores big goals in big matches. He performs in big matches and big moments as well when his team needs him. Captaining this Inter Milan side as well, and I think Inter Milan at that point, defending really really well, and Barcelona were coming onto them. We weren't producing too much at that point, but Inter Milan definitely deserved the lead. And of course, Barcelona continued to pile on the pressure. Barcelona were trying really, really hard, especially down the right hand side of theirs with Lamine Yamal, because at 17, yes, despite his age, why wouldn't he give him the ball considering what he could produce, the moments of magic? But I think, if anything, they were probably going down him a little bit too much. You could tell that Inter were realizing that, and Rafinha was coming more central. And I was kind of thinking to myself, Rafinha is a very, very good footballer as well. Definitely going to be up there for the Ballon d'Or this season. So I think I didn't mind the fact they were going down the right hand side with Lamar, but I thought that you do have options. Spread the play, make Inter defend really, really, stretch the defense, make them defend out in different areas of the pitch. Don't be predictable and continuously give the ball to Yamal. Give it to Rafinha as well. And I think that they maybe missed a little bit of a trick with that, but it didn't matter because Çalhanoğlu ended up going at the other end and converting a penalty. And the penalty, I think it was a penalty. I think it was 50-50. It's one of those where I'm not sure VAR should be intervening if it's not clear and obvious based on the rules that they've given us as fans. So I'm not sure I agree that they should be interfering. But on the back of it, yeah, I think it probably was a penalty. So I've got not too many issues with it. And then obviously Çalhanoğlu converts it to make it 2-0. And at that point, you think to yourself, is that going to be it? Is it going to end 2-0? Of course it's not. Of course, not with these two teams, not with the tie going the way it was. And the most unlikeliest of goal scorers, it was in fact Eric Garcia playing at right back in this game, with the left back putting in the cross, Gerard Martin, who ended up getting this assist and the assist for the next goal as well. So I think from a full perspective, he actually really quite impressed me. I haven't seen too much of him. I always think Baude is a first out and out left back, and I always think there's a bit of a drop off between Baude and Martin. But I actually think Martin did quite well, so I'm actually quite surprised by him, and I look forward to seeing more of him in the future. But for this goal to make it 2-1 for Barcelona, he ends up crossing it, he gets blocked, he then puts a cross in again. And I do have to say that Inter Milan, very good defensively normally, they didn't pick him up. And he's probably not the biggest threat in the box, but he ended up being in the right place, right moment. And then it was a wonderful strike as well. Kind of jumping up in the air on the volley. He converted really, really well. Barcelona get themselves back into the game at 2-1. And then you think to yourself, with the momentum, with the belief, then all of a sudden, Inter Milan might be in a little bit of trouble there. And they were, because Barcelona was so aggressive, much on the front foot. Then Gerard Martin from a more deeper position, not out wide, more centrally, put in the cross, and then Dani Olmo is a wonderful header from about 8 yards out, but it was no way Jan Sommer could stop him. Barcelona get themselves 2-2 into that game at that point, and think to yourself, my God, we are in for a demolition of Inter Milan. We're going to see Barcelona dominate the ball, pass around them, and that's kind of what we got. However, I think Sommer had a couple of saves to make, but I did expect Barcelona with all the possession to maybe create a little bit more. So I think, despite the fact that Inter defense looked really leggy at that point, and the fact that I don't know how they even got to extra time and keeping a couple of defenders still on the pitch, because they looked really knackered at this point. So the psychological impact and the belief that the players had to really carry on in that game, I think, needs to be given a lot of credit. But Barcelona do finally get the goal, 3-2 up. That man Rafinha. And it took 2 bites of the cherry for him to get it. He first hits the shot from left. Sommer makes a great save. But the only criticism I can have of Sommer is he puts it straight back into Rafinha's path. I know the shot was quite close. It had a lot of power and it directly at him. Maybe that's the only place where he could have get the ball back to. But maybe if he could parry it a little bit wider, maybe Inter Milan wouldn't have conceded from there. But then Rafinha puts it into the bottom corner. I think there was a man on the line. The man on the line did well to not get a toe on it, because they would definitely been offside. And then he goes to 3-2. And then I think to myself, Inter, you've lost it there. You lost it right at the end. But as I've said a couple of times already in this reaction video, you don't count out either side in this tie, because of the fact that they can produce anything in a moment of magic. And probably that person I was expecting least on the pitch, a Serbi, to come up with a winner. I mean, from playing centre back and then looking really leggy, to then all of a sudden playing up front, and why he even was up front at that point, I don't quite remember. Barcelona was chucking in long balls from the throw-ins to try and create something, and he was the only one in the box at Cherby. And the fact that it's a weaker right foot, and if you look at this finish, he's intentionally trying to get underneath it so it goes to the top corner. I mean, his first goal this season, his first goal I think ever in Europe, 37 years of age, a left-footed defender, played through all 5 leagues of Italian football. I mean, it's a great story, and the guy who I thought was having cramps ends up running around celebrating like an absolute lunatic after that. But why wouldn't you be if you just thought you brought your team back into it and took it extra time? And I think at that point, no one wanted the game to end. No, apart unless you're an Inter or a Barcelona fan, no one wanted the game to end. So I'm really glad that someone did get an equaliser, and then it goes to extra time. But actually, just before that, Yamal had a couple of chances to put the game away. I think he had one where he hit the post, and then he had another one where he hit Jan Sommer directly straight away. And I just thought, oh, he could have done it. He absolutely could have done it and put it to 4-3 to Barcelona and ended it before it got extra time. But then it goes to extra time. And full credit to Inter in this extra time period, because I thought they might try and, just get through it, try and just get the penalties, just go down with cramp, waste time as much as possible, try and, get the crowd on side, get Barcelona really frustrated. But they didn't do that. But they defended, they defended really deep like they have done in the entire of the game and both legs, if we're being honest. But what they did do, what they continued to go forward. Thuram tried to get forward. They were struggling to try and get that out ball, but when they did, it mainly was through Thuram, Dumfries. That right hand side was really good for Inter going forward. And Thuram ends up finding energy from, I don't know where, to be honest, because he looked knackered. But he finds the energy. He passes it to Taremi. Taremi, who I thought once he came on the pitch, did really well. He was holding up the ball well. He was intercepting a couple of Barcelona passes to try and relieve a little bit of pressure, struggling to find an out ball and maintain possession. But when he did do a good job, and I thought he really had a positive impact from the bench. But there was another player who came off the bench, Frattesi. Taremi ends up getting the ball, one-time layoff to Frattesi, and what does he do? He doesn't shoot first time. He doesn't panic. He doesn't try and just fire a shot off away and try and get it on goal. He waits for the Barcelona defender to go down, and when they go down, Szczesny's blindsided, and then he codes it perfectly into that far corner. And at that point, the celebrations again were just absolutely mental. Did I think that was going to be it? No, I'll be honest. I thought Barcelona surely would have something, but that was it. That was the winner. 4-3 it ended. Inter Milan go through to the final to face either one of Arsenal or PSG. And some players that absolutely need to shut up from this Inter side. I think Jan Sommer, I think they signed him for a fee of just over 5.5 million euros, I think it was. What an absolutely fantastic signing. An experienced goalkeeper, fantastic handling, fantastic shot stopping, and he did the job to it. I think he thoroughly deserved his man of the match performance, despite the fact that he conceded 3 goals. Because without him, I think Inter would have lost that tie. I think Denzel Dumfries, the man does not get tired. Up and down that right hand side, up and down, non-stop. I mean, to be fair, he did get tired in this time, and that's because credit to how well Barcelona worked him. They were forcing him to run out to defend to someone else and then get back into position, up and down. I think Denzel Dumfries had a fantastic game. I think Acerbi, Bastoni, despite conceding 3, had a very, very good game. Although Bissett struggled a little bit, I think for a young defender to be playing against his Barcelona time in the semi-finals, I think he'll learn a lot from it, but I do think he struggled a little bit. I think in the midfield, Mkhitaryan, Kalanoglu, Barella all ran the socks off. The forwards, Martinez, Thuram, Taremi when he came on. I think everyone in Inter, thoroughly deserves a pat on the back, because it's sometimes you don't think you're going to get through. Sometimes you don't think you have the quality. Sometimes you don't think it's going to be your night. But give it everything, and who knows? Who knows? It was just a moment of magic. Who thought that Fratesi was going to be the one to get the winner? No one. No one was putting a bet on him to do it. No one probably thought that the way it's going that Barcelona were going to get knocked out. Yeah, they'll concede a few, but they were going to score more than the opposition until they didn't. Until it takes one team, one set of players to go, do you know what? No, today's going to be our night. It's going to be our time. And it was, and Inter deserved it. Second final of the Champions League in 3 seasons, and I really hope they go on to do it. Will they do it? Who knows? I mean, it's going to be PSG or Arsenal. Either side, if they come up against, is going to be tough. I PSG, I've really enjoyed watching them because obviously they've been playing English teams in the knockouts. They played Liverpool, then Villa, then Arsenal. So I've been watching a lot of PSG and I really, really like the look of them. But if PSG or Arsenal were to do it, or if it was to be Inter Milan, I wouldn't have any complaints because I think this tie was just so phenomenal. And it sounds corny, but the winner here was football. And I'm just so happy to be seeing this side. I think we need to be giving Inter a lot more credit than I think we've been doing. I've been seeing people talking about the best managers in Europe this season, and no one's been really mentioning Inzaghi. I've been seeing people talking about the best forwards in Europe this season. No one's been mentioning Martinez. And I think, hopefully now, that what this performance and into getting to the final will do is everyone will be like, do you know what? This is a good side. This is a good manager, good set of players. We need to be giving them a lot more credit because I don't think they've been getting enough